to the side and back, my name is Toki Uzuru, also known as Toki, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about 8 more things I wish someone would have told me before I started on this whole witchcraft spiritual journey thing. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, I have my hair covered. Yes, this is not going to be the final installment of more hair coloring tips, the aftermath. That's next week's video. I'm keeping my hair covered so I can go ahead and have that be the debut of the hair. Specifically the hair color that I ended up with. Now with this list, the first thing that's on the list is actually something that brought up me making a video like this again, where I talk about even more things that I have learned that I probably shared in other videos I've done, but in like passing. And the first one on this list specifically is you don't have to practice your spiritual practice or whatever folk magic you do every day to be in said community or to be classified as a person that does folk magic, aka a person that does witchcraft. Honestly, you don't have to go ahead and even classify yourself as a witch or a person that does witchcraft. That's a different point altogether. Similar to emotional burnout, mental burnout, physical burnout, you can actually get spiritual burnout. So maybe you're not up to doing the things that you would usually do as, let's say, when it comes to worshiping your deities or making full moon water, new moon water, doing an entire ritual because it's eclipse season. Short answer, it doesn't have to be every day. Bro. I cringed at the fact that I just made that joke. The second thing is what I touched on in the first one, which is it's all technically subjective. There are some cultures that call what I personally do as witchcraft and others that do not, because witchcraft means a completely different thing in that culture. This is the reason why when I go ahead and do these videos and I talk about my personal spiritual practice, I specify my personal spiritual practice, aka folk magic, or try my best to put what I do under the umbrella of witchcraft because that's what I identify it as. But even down to the herbs and crystals that you use. So basically whatever tool and assistance that you end up using in your spiritual practice, it can mean one thing in one culture, but it can mean something completely different in another. This is the reason why I stopped doing the metaphysical properties of certain herbs that you can turn into teas, as well as why I don't specify the certain types of crystals and their metaphysical benefits, or even down to things, simple things like color magic. Because it's all vibes, it's all subjective vibes. Number 3 is pretty much like an umbrella thing, but it works. And that is learning the why. Why this crystal? Why this herb? Why this color? Why this vibe? Why this intention? Figuring out the why can go ahead and get you through a lot of stuff. This specifically would be able to help you with better manifesting whatever it is. Because it also helps you with figuring out the root of the thing that you actually want. So with the why there, why you want the thing, you can go ahead and work on the reason as to why you want the thing instead of actually working on the thing that you so-called want. Number 4, when it comes to researching things, start with things that you would end up using in your everyday life anyway. So for people that like to cook and bake things, herbology, and for those who are more interested in the different bodies of water, things like sea magic or elemental magic, specifically having to deal with the water. It's not that I didn't know this, because I honestly decided after I realized there was so much for me to learn, I decided to randomly pick something I was interested in and focus on that first. Because a lot of the stuff you end up learning, if you're learning it from the internet, is just the metaphysical meanings and properties of pretty much anything in your life. And for my brain, I won't be able to remember that. If there's books for that, I can go ahead and read through them, figure out whether it resonates with me or not. Why was I about to say Mambo number 5? We can't make that joke in this video. Number 5. Using divination as a tool to assist you in figuring out whether it's a good idea or not. Now there are a bunch of ways that you can do divination, and naming them all in this video, I wouldn't be able to do it. My brain would be too tired. But it can be from as extravagant as reading bones or apparently dirt, because that's a thing you can do, to easily just flipping a coin and asking a yes or no question. And side note, I ended up using this coin when well, it's not a coin, it's actually a pendant from a necklace that I ended up taking off. And I used this pendant specifically as a flipping coin to assist in helping me make decisions. Like the decision to not put the background up because I'm too irritated with the background specifically to put it up. But yeah, divination can save you from a lot of things. Not everything though. Number 6. I'm going to say that witchcraft specifically is the biggest game of mess around and find out you will ever play. Like, oh, what would happen if I decide to put this intention and these herbs together and do all of these things? Will anything come out of it? Is that how I view my witchcraft? Yes, the ultimate game of mess around and find out. However, you have to know how to do this smartly. Smartly, is that a word? You have to use critical thinking skills when it comes to doing this. Number 7 happens to deal with aesthetics. Yes, we're bringing this back up again. I remember specifically that I ended up bringing up the fact that you don't have to go ahead and make it look aesthetically pleasing because it's your craft. At the same time, if you want to make it aesthetically pleasing, you can go ahead and do that. Building onto that, it doesn't have to be complicated. It could just be simple and pretty. The bottom line is, you can make it pretty, aesthetically pleasing. You can also just make it simple. I have an entire jar of feathers that I found that I placed on the altar that I have in front of the window. For a specific reason, I'm not getting into it this video. Simple, it's just a random jar I had that I cleaned out and a bunch of feathers that I found that I wanted to make sure that I keep in one space. And the last one, number 8, is something very specific that I had to go ahead and learn personally because I wanted to get into this and I am learning the hard way. But that is that some teas are meant to be brewed to have a weak flavor. This goes a bit into the herbology side and how having a certain amount of a specific herb could be considered dangerous, but like this mostly happens to deal with flavors and how having too much of one flavor ends up ruining the entire thing. So when it comes to me, I make my own tea blends because that's what I like to do. And in doing so, I have to have learned that certain herbs should not be in excess, mostly because the flavor is going to be absolutely unbearable and or just terrible. I've learned this with several different herbs multiple times, but like specific floral teas like jasmine and rose, you should not put too much of the herb into the tea for fear that you're not going to like it. Again, I had to learn that the hard way, but there we go. 8 more things that I wish someone would have told me before I started on my spiritual journey / doing all of this witchcraft practice stuff. And if that is all that I had to go ahead and say for this video, it's time for me to get into the stereotypical YouTuber outro, where as a stereotypical YouTuber would ask you to do the following. I have learned way too many things from watching way too many people do their outro. Anyway, back on track. If you liked the video, please don't forget to hit the like button, Also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of whatever content I decide to make. Honestly, hit the notification bell to be notified of whenever I post. And don't forget to put any type of questions, comments, concerns, or ideas for future videos down in the comment section below. With all that being said, my name is Toki Kauzuru, also known as Toki, and this is Toki saying Toki out.